he's a mentor and coach for successful people. Hi, Vaishnav.
Hi, thank you. I may not tell that, go and do step 1, step 2, step 3. What we see in our day-to-day life is the tip of the iceberg. Life, career, relationships, gender, countries.
Audience, கொஞ்சம் பயமா இருக்காது.
எதனால பிஹேவ் பண்ணனே தெரியல, எதுக்கு இதெல்லாம் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேன். It was just far easier just to live the way I want to live.
Of hypnotism is someone will very பண்ண அப்படிதான் சொல்லுவாங்க. So is that what you do? வணக்கம் அக்காஸ். LifeUnblocked சேனல்ல நாங்கள் வந்து ரொம்பவே பர்சனல் growth அப்படின்னு ஃபோக்கஸ் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கோம். இன்னைக்கு வந்து we want to focus on the mental aspects of things. இன்னைக்கு நம்ம பேச போற ஒருத்தர் வந்து he's worked with a lot of office goers, career shift பண்ணவங்க, அவங்களோடலாம் ஒர்க் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. அண்ட் he's a mentor and coach for successful people. So hi Vaishnav.
Hi, thank you.
உங்களை பற்றி இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் சொல்ல முடியுமா? லைக்
Sure.
ஒரு இன்ட்ரோ மாதிரி.
Sure. So I work with people. I facilitate a conversation in a way where in any given situation they have the power of choice to respond or react to the situation how they want to, in a way that will work for them.
ஓகே. ஸோ இப்போ ஒர்க் சுச்சுவேஷனில் ஒரு டிஸ்அக்ரிமெண்ட் இருக்குது கலீகோட அப்படின்னு நீங்கள் நினச்சிட்டிங்க, அதை எப்படி நீங்கள் ஃபேஸ் பண்ணுறதுன்னு நீங்கள் சொல்லி தருவீங்களா?
So now in the director, I may not tell that, go and do step 1, step 2, step 3.
Okay.
Those will be my steps that work for me.
Okay.
But instead I would have a conversation and understanding the person's emotional patterns.
Okay.
The person's default behaviors, how they react to a certain situation.
Okay.
And work around that reaction response and help the person arrive at a place where they will figure out what works for them. If I give this answers, do step 1, step 2, step 3, it may or may not work. But my goal here is to, how does the person arrive at that choice? Every person has the answers. It's just somewhere layered down because of different ways of conditioning.
Okay.
So it's just bringing that back, bringing back that power of choice for the person.
ஸோ இதை அன்லாக் பண்ணுறதுக்கு நீங்கள் என்னென்ன டெக்னிக் யூஸ் பண்ணுவீங்க?
Yeah. So there are different tools and techniques that I have studied and that I have found very helpful in my own journey. That some of the tools that I have personally used and continue to use is NLP, neuro-linguistic programming.
Okay.
Conversational hypnotherapy. Basically tools that will help you understand what are your behavior patterns and where is it coming from.
Okay.
Innike, I think we are all somewhere, and I don't mean this in a negative way, we've all been conditioned to react to situations a certain way. அதெல்லாம் பார்த்து வளர்ந்துருக்கோம். வீட்டில் நான் 5 வயசு 6 வயசு இருக்கும்போது we've seen our parents react a certain way. So knowingly or unknowingly, we modeled a lot of behavior from our earlier generation.
Okay.
So நம்மளுக்கு தெரியாமலே we borrow a lot of those patterns and we replicate it in our life. So the tools that I use is help the person understand where are those reactions coming from, where is the root, so that you can go back to the root and change that, and then our behavior changes. Value system மாத்தலாம், ஆனா எல்லாமே மாத்தணும்னு அவசியம் கிடையாது.
Okay.
Personal development industry there can be these statements that come up. I'm sure you would have seen the statements. Transform yourself 360 degrees, be a new you.
Yeah.
அதோட ஒரு பாசிட்டிவ் இன்டென்ட் இருக்கு.
Okay.
But what is also happening is it can give the reader an impression saying எல்லாமே என்னை பத்தி மாத்திக்கணுமா? கிடையாது. And that's what I want to change. அப்படி கிடையவே கிடையாது. There are things that work for you, there are things that don't work for the person. So whatever is not working, அதோட root cause கண்டுபிடிச்சு அதோட வேல்யூ சிஸ்டம்ஸோட மாற்றலாம்.
இப்போ என்ன எடுத்துட்டீங்கன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க, நான் வந்து ரொம்ப இன்ட்ரோவர்ட் அண்ட் ரொம்ப ஹெசிடென்ட் டு ஆக்சுவலி ஷேர் மை டீப்பர் தாட்ஸ் அண்ட் ஆல். எனக்கு கொஞ்சம் பயமே இருக்குது. லைக் வை ஷுட் ஐ ஷேர் ஆல் ஆஃப் மை ஃபீலிங்ஸ் அவுட் வித் சம் ரேண்டம் பர்சன். ஸோ இந்த மாதிரி ஓப்பன்னஸ் அவ்வளவா இல்லைன்னா எனக்கு கொஞ்சம் தயக்கமாக இருக்குது ஒரு தெரப்பி எடுத்துக்கிறதுக்கு. அப்படிங்கிற ஆடியன்ஸ்க்கு வந்து நீங்கள் அதை எப்படி டீல் பண்ணுவீங்க?
So the work that I do, whether it is one-on-one work, one-on-one coaching work, or one-to-many group workshops that I run, both are very content-free.
Mm-hmm.
So when I say content-free, I will not ask you what happened at this age, who said what.
Okay.
நம்ம லாங்குவேஜ்ல சொல்லணும்னா as in layman terms வந்து I don't want the masala of your problem.
Okay.
And it's not that I don't care. I care, that's why I don't ask for the ingredients of the problem.
Okay.
Because what's important is where are we going with the problem that we have today? Where are we going from there? We want to work towards a solution.
And also, how does it affect our reactions to situations that we have already seen, Ilya?
Yes. Yeah. So now if I go back into the problem, see, there are tools that might also go into the problem which has outcomes to it. But from what I've seen, at least the mentors that I've had, the process that I've experienced, and the process that I work with today, the goal, or rather the outcome, is always well-being. We could use a lot of labels to it. Well-being, peace, empowered, power of choice. All of those are the outcome. So today, if you come to me saying that I have this problem, Vaishnav, we work around that problem. That's why there is a process of the tool that I use, where I still use a process, but I don't go into the details of the problem necessarily.
ஸோ இப்போ நான் உங்கள் செஷன்ஸ்க்கு வரேன் அப்படின்னா நான் என்ன ப்ரிப் பண்ணோம்? தட் ஷுட் ஐ ஆல்ரெடி நோ எனக்கு வந்து இந்த இஷ்யூஸ் இருக்குது, அதை நான் மாடிஃபை பண்ணோம். அதாவது எனக்கு வந்து சைல்ட்ஹுட்டில் வந்து மை பேரண்ட்ஸ் டிட் நாட் ஹாவ் அ கிரேட் ரிலேஷன்ஷிப். ஸோ எனக்கு வந்து ஆஸ் அ சைல்ட் நான் அதை விட்னஸ் பண்ணிவிட்டு எனக்கு அதில் கோவங்கள் நிறைய இருக்குது அண்ட் என்னோட இன்ஹிபிஷன்ஸ் இருக்குது, எனக்கு அதை வந்து நீங்கள் எனக்கு ஹெல்ப் பண்ணுங்க அப்படின்னு நான் வந்து உங்ககிட்ட எக்ஸ்பிளிசிட்டாக சொல்லணுமா? இல்லைனா ஐ கேன் ஜஸ்ட் கம் வித் an open mind?
So you don't have to necessarily tell me details of the problem at all. So there are two areas where we work. One is group workshops. Group workshops, so you don't have to say anything.
Okay.
You don't have to say anything. You don't have to prepare anything. There is only one ask that I have to all my participants who come for my workshops. I request to come with an open mind to experience the possibilities of change.
Okay.
So you just come with an open mind, and the processes are so powerful, it takes care of it. Now, these are processes, to be honest, it's not what I have created. It's been there for over 30 years, 40 years. Different workshops that we run has been there. People's lives have changed for the better. So that I just simply follow the processes. And during that process, you will be self-reflecting a lot on what could be the root cause of a problem. What is the problem? Where is it coming from? What do you want to replace it with? How do you want to replace it with? How do you want life afterwards, after the workshop? One-on-one work, obviously that's more customized. And when I say customized, we are working specifically with the problem. So I might just have a few questions on what are the problems that you are currently, let's say, for example, it can be something like, I had somebody say that I have terrible anxiety. I can't sleep for 3-4 days before I know that there's a quarterly business review meeting.
Okay.
என்னால தூங்க முடியல 4 days, and that can be extremely stressful. So I might have questions around that. So when I say questions around that, it is what are the problems you are currently facing, which is things like I have anxiety. Okay, what are the problems because of that? I'm not able to sleep for 3-4 days. I'm having issues in the relationship front. This is all I ask. And then I might probably ask, okay, what do you want instead? Then we work around it. And in the one-on-one session, sometimes things can come up, but then it's not my goal to go into details and ask you who said what, who did what. It's the process takes care of it.
Okay. Ipo, some of my colleagues and all, they have children.
Yeah.
They are their parents, or they are trying to day jobs, and then because of financial pressure or because of aspirations, they try to do evening side business, அந்த மாதிரி setting up and all that. அதனால வந்து it affects their family life as well, and they have trouble to cope with all of that. அந்த மாதிரி clients ஓட நீங்க work பண்ணுவீங்களா?
So I worked with someone who was setting up a business, And while setting up the business, there was this guilt of not being able to be around the children. And while not being around the children, the want to be very protective. And that behavior was coming about in a different way. It could come out as anger, it could come out as shouting. And this person felt that I want to be protective, but I think I'm too stressed of shouting. So I worked with this person. Invariably, what I've seen is why during that journey of working with this person, the presenting problem was anger and stress and anxiety. But the actual problem was entirely different. The problem was her experience of being a child and the mother not being there for that person's career. There was a vacuum. And why this person grew up to become an adult, unknowingly, the same patterns repeated.
Okay. Usually we try to do the opposite of what our parents have done for us.
Yes.
Overprotective parents are we like நான் வந்து சில்லா இருப்பேன் அவங்க இதில் இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட் கேர் பண்ண மாட்டேன் ஸோ சம்திங் லைக்
Yeah, and invariably I've seen that with adults who are parents and who are not parents also.
Okay.
Like you rightly said, I've seen this even in my own case. I've seen it at one phase of life. I've always been like my dad. And now suddenly at one phase of my life, I want to be like my mother. And somewhere in between you're confused saying, then who am I?
Okay.
And I think there are different tools that I've experienced saying, I can take the things that worked for me from my dad, things that worked for me from my mother, and balance it out.
இந்த who am I பார்ட்ல வந்து லைக் நான் ரீசெண்டாக லைக் ஐ ரீட் a lot of books about how to become financially independent, how do you grow yourself as a business, how do you become an entrepreneur. So அவங்க என்ன சொல்லுவாங்க அப்படின்னா you have to remodel yourself into something else அப்படிங்கிற இதில் சொல்லுவாங்க. who do you aspire to be அப்படிங்கிறத வந்து ரீமாடல் பண்ணு அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி நிறைய இது சொல்லுவாங்க. இட்ஸ் அபவுட் ஷிஃப்டிங் யுவர் மென்டாலிட்டி ஆல் டுகெதர். இதெல்லாம் டூவபிளா?
It's interesting that you asked me this question. I had something to share in my mind which brings me to this point. நிறைய இந்த வேர்ட் யூஸ் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க, mindset. There is a deeper layer to it.
Okay.
So first, to answer your question, is it possible to remodel? Absolutely yes. Is it absolutely possible to remodel overnight? In my experience, maybe some parts, but not entirely. Okay. It is, for me, it's been a journey. I think we are all a work in progress. So remodeling is possible. And the example for that I would want to give is iceberg. Or image, you would have seen a image of an iceberg. So, tannik mele we see only the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Below the water, there is a huge part of the iceberg which we don't see.
Correct.
And our behavior is exactly like the iceberg. So, for our listeners, and even you could go and look at the iceberg model of behavior example on Google. You will see the different layers of the iceberg, and what we see in our day-to-day life is the tip of the iceberg, which is our behavior, our action, our result. What's beneath the water is the beliefs and values we hold about life, career, relationships, gender, countries, everything about life. We hold these beliefs. In other terms, the part above the water, the iceberg, that's our conscious mind. Subconscious mind, I'm sure you would have read a lot. So to give you a number, majority of our behavior, which is about 90 to 95% of our behavior, is powered by the subconscious. Only about 5 to 10% is conscious behavior. What do I mean? Very simple. Subconscious, not to get too technical about it, it's very simple. Muscle memory. And the time நிறைய யூஸ் பண்ணிருக்கேன்.
நீ வண்டி ஓட்டும் போது
Exactly. Yeah. When was the last time we actually took a lot of effort to walk? It's automatic, right?
Yeah.
Eating, sleeping, driving, like you rightly said. நான் எப்படி ஓட்டிட்டு வந்தேனே தெரியல.
ஆமா.
So you're so tuned to that model of behavior that it becomes automatic. It is the exact same with our responses to any situation. Our behaviors, our action are all powered by the subconscious. So all that I do in, be it any of the tools that we work with, we are working with the subconscious.
இப்போ நீங்கள் கான்ஷியஸ் மைண்ட் சப்கான்ஷியஸ் மைண்ட்லாம் சொல்கிறோம், நம்ம வந்து அதுக்குள்ளே போய் டீப்பராக எக்ஸ்ப்ளோர் பண்ணுறோம் அப்படின்னு சொன்னோன்னா அதுலேயே ஒரு ஆடியன்ஸ் கொஞ்சம் பயமாக இருக்காது? டு அண்டர் த சர்ஃபேஸ் நமக்குள்ளே என்னெல்லாம் இருக்குது அப்படிங்கிறது ஒரு பயம் வராதா?
பயம் இருக்கும். Again, I don't want to make it very rosy and all of that. I want to be extremely honest and truthful about this. Initially, I think we are so tuned to working a certain way, we don't realize that there is something like the subconscious mind that is powering us to behave a certain way. And then when you start exploring these tools, you also realize, சரி நான் இவ்வளோ வருஷம் இப்படியெல்லாம் பிஹேவ் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேன், எதனால பிஹேவ் பண்ணனே தெரியல. But suddenly you realize the root cause of it. It can be something as simple as, நான் இந்த மாதிரி சிச்சுவேஷன்ல இப்படியெல்லாம் ரியாக்ட் பண்றேன் அப்படின்னா இவ்வளோதால எனக்கு தெரியல, பட் ஐ எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் சம் டூல் அண்ட் ஒரு பல்ப் ஆன் மூமெண்ட் அடிக்கும்.
ஸோ ஃப்ரம் தென் ஆன் டு ஐ ஹாவ் அ சாய்ஸ்?
From then on, we definitely have a choice. So one side it can be, so you might think that many times even I've thought, நான் இதெல்லாம் எதுக்கு இதெல்லாம் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேன், it was just far easier just to live the way I want to live and move on.
Yeah.
While that might sound easy, my only logic to that is there are some parts of my behavior didn't work for me. நான் already அப்படியே வாழ்ந்துட்டு இருக்கேன்மா. I think that sounds a lot more painful. Here, when you use those tools and understand where certain things are coming from, definitely there can be moments of pain, there can be moments of hurt, there can be moments of anger, being upset. But the nice part about working with the subconscious mind is you have the choice. You'll come to a point saying, okay, now I know why am I behaving this way. I have a choice to change it. And that's where the remodeling comes.
நீங்க வந்து ஹிப்னாட்டிசம், கான்வர்சேஷனல் ஹிப்னாட்டிசம் அப்படிலாம் சொன்னீங்க. ஸோ என்னோட வெர்ஷன் ஆஃப் ஹிப்னாட்டிசம் இஸ் சம்மன் வில் ஏதாவது ஒரு ஸ்டிங்கை போட்டு உங்கள் மண்டைக்கு மேலே டேனில் பண்ணிட்டு நோ யோர் சிக்கன் மாதிரி ப்ரூஃப் பண்ண அப்படிலாம் சொல்லுவாங்க. ஸோ இஸ் தட் வாட் யூ டூ?
So there was a joke in my office a few years back saying, don't look into his eyes, he'll hypnotize you and pull out all your secrets.
Yeah.
For a long time, even I thought that's what it was. நான் வந்து NLP பண்ணதுக்கு அப்புறம் கூட NLPல they talk a lot about hypnotic language, for example, which is a tool. நான் அது படிக்கும்போது I got curious about hypnotherapy and I started reading about it, and ஒரு curiosity-காக, and I think that's what this world gives you also. It helps you become really curious about how else we can become better.
This world நீங்க சொல்றது getting into yourself.
Okay. Yeah. Choosing to understand why am I behaving the way I'm behaving, and choosing to take accountability to say, I've behaved this way, it's not served me, it's not served people around me. How do I change it? How do I make life easy for me and for people around me? And 10 years back when somebody said you have to go inward, you have to self-reflect, I thought that was just absolute nonsense. But in the last 5 years, that's become my belief. Right? It just becomes so much easier that way. So, hypnotism or hypnotherapy, contrary to what we've seen on media, media used it for entertainment. They just use it for entertainment. In fact, in our course, Just for Laughs on the பழைய ஷோல இருந்து எடுத்து they actually play a funny video on hypnotherapy. But hypnotherapy is not that. It's very, very, very simple. I told about conscious and subconscious. We spoke about the muscle memory.
Yeah.
Let's take an example of going to the gym or eating clean. Classic example, New Year. Now, from next Monday, I'm going to go to the gym. And for 1 week, you will use motivation, discipline, all of that, and you'll go. And few weeks down the line, you're back on the bed at 6 a.m. sleeping. Now, I'm not saying sleeping at 6 a.m. is wrong. You have to go to the gym. I'm not saying that. But why does it not work? Why is the change not long term? Because the conscious and subconscious are not aligned. My conscious brain wants one thing, my subconscious belief is something else. So it can be as simple as I believe that I can work out in the evening and still stay fit. But because I've been around me, people have told morning is the best, I'm trying my level best to do that. So what is happening, conscious and subconscious is not aligned. It is conflicted. Hypnotherapy is a very simple tool to work with your subconscious. And if you want the change, we work with the subconscious mind.
And you still have the power.
Yeah, you only have the power. I don't have the power at all.
Okay.
You have the power of choice in that space. So it's so all we've seen in media is just for fun.
Okay.
Just for jokes. It's nothing like that.
Unga sessions, do you use any internal medicines or something like that, or is completely non-invasive?
No, so I don't do anything with medicines because one, the practice doesn't allow it. Two is I'm not qualified. I'm not a doctor. And my focus even today is still around how can we make life better from where we are to where we want to be. That's my area of focus. I've not dwelled too much into the space of clinical therapy. I'm not a psychologist by graduation or by profession. Although the tools that I've studied, there are mix and matches of tools that come from the world of psychology and psychiatry and all of that. But possibly some of the times that I've worked with someone, it would be possibly a certain behavior they want in their house or their business. It so happened the root cause could have been an anxiety-related issue, self-doubt, something like that. And those are some instances where with the tools that we have, we worked with it.
Okay.
So I don't get into I don't work with anybody who's going for existing therapy. But if they still want to work with me, I would still want a confirmation from their therapist that they can work with me. Somebody who's clinically diagnosed with, say, depression or bipolar schizophrenia, I don't work with them.
Okay. So it's for normal people who are experiencing changes or what they want changes in their own life.
Yeah.
They want to improve, they want to be more productive.
Yeah.
They want to sort out some house issues and all that. Like,
yeah. It can be things like, hey Vaishnav, I go through a lot of stress at work. Hey Vaishnav, I go through a lot of fear before a sales pipeline meeting. I go through a lot of fear and sleepless nights before a quarterly business review. I have a lot of fear before interviews. I don't know how to manage a team. I don't know how to handle this particular stressful situation. Habits, behavior around these areas.
Get over the habit of smoking.
Yeah, we could do that as well with the tools that we have.
Okay.
Primarily, if you see, my journey in the last couple of years has been helping individuals become better leaders from an emotional standpoint. I think leadership skills can be split into multiple areas, technical and behavior. My strength has always been behavior, emotions, pure responses to situations. And how does a rep address a sales rep or a working professional address self-doubt issues? Will I do or will I not? What if I fail? What if I don't succeed? I have issues with this teammate.
Okay. Seeing results. How long?
So the answer to that is, so there are multiple things that I do. If it's a one-on-one conversation, the one-on-one conversation, I worked with about somewhere close to 25 people so far. Just to give you some examples, 3 of them are entrepreneurs. Someone else I worked with are all working professionals. So there have been different kind of issues ranging from guilt of being, I don't know how good am I being as a mother, to somebody else saying, my parents have passed on, but I still have a lot of anger against them. To someone else saying, Vaishnav, I'm not able to say no at work. I've been saying yes to everything. Someone else saying, there is this one person that I absolutely cannot stand. How do I handle the situation? So on an average that I've seen, that I've worked with different people, on an average is about 2.5 hours. It's in majority of times I've worked twice. So each session would be about 2.5 hours. And for the problem that they're facing, they found significant results after that. Now, having said that, that's just the average that I've seen so far.
Okay.
What I've also got to be honest about is there might be some problems that if somebody comes to me with a certain problem and that's not in my ability to work with, I'll be upfront and tell them, hey, this is not my area of work. I might refer them to someone else. At this point, I do not by default tell you that in 1.5 hours you will find your solution. No. So I always say, let's get the ball rolling. It's a process.
Yeah.
Let's have that first conversation. If that first conversation takes 1 hour, 1.5 hours, or 2.5 hours, and they find they have the answer to it, great. Let's take a pause there. Go back into your real life. See what comes up. If things work fine, good. And most times, thankfully, it's been that way. But if you feel the intensity has reduced, but you still have residue of the problem, come back. Let's have one more conversation.
Okay.
And my goal always is, it's not one session and then you're done. One session, let's finish with that. Go back into the real life. See how life is for you. And then we'll take it from there.
Okay. Do you also do these online, or is it just somebody has to visit you in person to get results?
So one-on-one work is very effective online, and it just makes life so much easy for the person. They don't have to fly down or come into my space. Nothing. I've worked with all these people online, and we've seen fabulous results. That's my one-on-one work. I also do a lot of group workshops, which, for example, a Heal Your Life workshop by Louis A. I'm a workshop leader for that. A 2-day workshop, that one is done exclusively offline because of the processes.
Okay.
Very soon I'm going to be launching the NLP practitioner programs and hypnotherapy, which both can be done offline and online.
Okay, so நீங்க வந்து Zoom வழியாவே வந்துருச்சு விட்டுருவீங்க எல்லாரும்.
Wow.
Okay, Vaishnav, thank you so much. If you want to get in touch with Vaishnav, just drop a comment and எங்களை contact பண்ணுங்க. We'll just give you all the access in order to get help for you.
Thank you for this. I think it's very important that people know that there are tools. Yes, it can be hard. Sometimes we just have to take that one step, saying, let me go and explore.
ஆனால் இப்போ தமிழ் மக்கள் எடுத்தாலே, ஐயோ நீ தெரப்பி போறியா, உனக்கு ஏதோ மண்டையில் ஏதோ ப்ராப்ளம் நினைப்பாங்க.
ஆமாம், அந்த taboo is still there. We are in a very எப்படின்னு சொல்றது தெரியல. Earlier there was a clear taboo to it. Today there is awareness and taboo together. Some people know they want to go for it. Some people like, நான் போய் என்னோட ப்ராப்ளம்க்கு அவங்க எப்படி சொல்யூஷன் கொடுக்க போறாங்க. And that's one of the myths that I want to break, which is and again it's a label, right? At least when I say this world of making life better, therapy is one angle to it, which are all very, let's say in my view, when we talk about therapy, we are talking about depression and things like that. That is therapy, one thing for sure. There is one more word which can be therapeutic in nature, may not be necessarily therapy, for example, which can be as simple as how do I become more productive or successful at work? How do I stay more grounded or balanced at work? How do I not get triggered by someone?
Which are common issues.
Which are very common issues. Now, that can fall under the bracket of personal development, personal growth, self-growth. I think we also get too caught up into labels.
So, are you a therapist or a coach?
I'm neither. So, if you go by conventional graduation, I am not studied psychology. But if I have to go by industry norms, I would say a coach because of the areas that I work with. But some of the feedback that I've also got is, Vaishnav, you created such a safe space that this entire process was very therapeutic for me. And I didn't know I was carrying so much trauma from my childhood. Now, this was not my goal. I just followed the process, and the person came to a state of awareness, functioning, stating that I didn't know I had this behavior. I knew I had this behavior. I didn't know where it was coming from.
Okay.
So my request to everyone is, there is a world where you can become aware of where certain behaviors are coming from, and never get into the label of I am good, I am bad, I am the worst. That self-talk can be very damaging. You just become aware of where are certain things coming from, and it's a work in progress. One of my mentors said she's been doing this kind of work for 40 years, and she still goes on her journey of self-reflection for 45 days in silence and 60 days in silence. And someone once asked her, is there an end to it? And she said, we're all a work in progress.
Okay.
So I think we've also been conditioned to think that if I go to a therapist or a coach, they're going to give me the answers. Most times, it's not the case. We have a conversation in a way, we facilitate a conversation in a way where you will find what your problems are, and you will find what your answers are, and you will find what works for you and what doesn't work for you.
Okay.
So ultimately, the answers lies within you. It's just that years of growing up in a certain way and a certain environment has influenced our decisions and being. We just got to unlearn those patterns so that we learn our new patterns which align with us.
Okay. On that note, thank you so much, Vaishnav. In the மாதிரி இன்னும் பாட்காஸ்ட் பார்க்கணும்னு நினைச்சீங்கன்னா just drop a comment, and we'll try and facilitate and bring more people, educated people like Vaishnav on the show.
Thank you.